Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Connecting Dots podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Osama, and today we are very delighted to be joined by Dr. Claudia. She's an amazing person and a very professional one to work with, and she wears many hats, one of which is being a director of IPR policy, and she specializes in patent law. So, with that, let's get started. Dr. Claudia, I formally welcome you to the show. How's your day going so far?
Hi, thanks a lot for the invite. Today it's going very well. We are here having amazing temperatures in Munich, in Germany. It's like Spanish weather,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like home.
Yeah. Nice, excellent. So let's get started. Please share an elevator pitch of some sort about your professional journey and how's it going so far.
Okay, so I'm half Spanish, half Argentinian. I grew up in Spain, where I studied law. And then I started to work in the bank because I studied business law and I got a job as a customer advisor. And I was in charge in that office of the foreign customers, in particular German customers. So I realized that my German was not good enough and that I didn't know how to deal with the German customers. I didn't know how they do business. So I decided to go for 1 year to Germany to improve my German, learned about the culture, and I got a job by another bank. But when I came here, I worked 3 years in the bank, and I was still missing these legal aspects. So I decided to apply, and I was selected to join an LLM program on German law with a specialization in patent law. And after that, I did a master thesis on the topic of standardization and patents, and I really liked the topic. So I decided to do a PhD. I applied for a grant, and I received a grant from Max Planck Institute. I did my PhD there. And during the PhD, also on patents and standards and brand and all the topic, I made over 60 interviews. One of them was to BlackBerry.
Okay.
And when I finished my PhD, I already got an offer to work there. I had several functions, but mainly I was focused on IPR policy, and I was there for 5 years. And then I got the opportunity to move to Ericsson. And this is where I was 7 years ago, working as Director of IPR policy. And as you know, I have several hats. I'm also president of for IP Council, a non-profit organization focused on research, the topic of IP and innovation. And I just finalized my certificate on executive coach. So I'm doing several things.
Amazing. That's quite a journey.
Yes.
So other than that, I would want to ask you about the role of being a director. If someone were to become a director in IPR policy, how does a day in their life look like?
Okay, so I think it depends on the company and the task. If I look some of my colleagues, what they are doing is to engage with decision makers to represent the company's opinion on certain topics. And in my case, I'm more focused on, I'm doing IPR policy and legal academic research. So what I do is to lead a group of researchers in the field of IPR policy. And right now will be 11 this year. So we have junior and senior researchers, and they help us to understand better the topic of IP and innovation and standardization.
Right.
Yes, so it's a variety of things. On the one hand, it's management part, but also giving lectures, writing papers, engaging with universities to exchange thoughts. A bit of things.
Right. Anyways, how did you develop an interest in specializing in patent law specifically?
I think it's a natural evolution of being in Munich. The fact that 80% of my friends are engineers, the fact that I love technology, dynamic innovation, and
Mhm.
And this is linked one-to-one to patents.
Right, interesting. So after you've started in this role, what kind of myths do you think have been busted for you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I had really a myth on this
Uh-huh.
topic. When I got this position in Ericsson was because I had a vision on
Mm-hmm.
how this position will look like, and the company had also basically the same vision. But
Mm-hmm.
the position was not created so far. So I guess was more a
Right.
kind of a concern that they may
Mm-hmm.
that it may take too long, that the company may not be patient enough to see, because this is kind of a trial error when you are building something from scratch.
Yeah.
But I had a supportive company, so yeah, that made it work.
Yeah. And nonetheless, it is an amazing place to work. I must say, I will fully endorse it. Yeah. Okay. Another interesting question that I had in my mind was that, typically speaking, what is an outcome of infringing a patent?
Okay, so for the audience who are not aware about patents, a patent is an exclusionary right. Means that you share with the public, the society, your invention, and in
Mm-hmm.
exchange you get the right to exclude everybody else for the use of that invention. So they cannot use it
Mm-hmm.
without your permission. So if someone is using it
Mm-hmm.
and you realize about it, it might be that you are wishing to give a license to that person or company, or that you just want them to stop infringing. If we go into the second part, that you wish to stop them to infringe, then you will go to court and ask
Mm-hmm.
for preliminary injunction, meaning that the court orders a company either
Mm-hmm.
to do or stop doing something, and here will be to stop infringing you. Even if you're licensing or you're entering into licensing discussions, you also have that right anytime. So if you don't reach an agreement, you can always go to court. You also can ask for damages. You can ask for court fees and so on. But let's say the first step would be to
Right.
approach the infringer.
Right. So other than that, I would say, that there is that argument that for the patents that are essential to a standard, the damages should be enough to compensate, for the infringement, and that no injunction should be in place. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, the fact that a patent is essential doesn't mean per se that you have lost your right of injunction. That's very clear.
Mm-hmm.
If there were no injunctions in place, there will be no motivation for infringers to pay, because they will know you first need to ask for the court to set the
Mm-hmm.
damages and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end it's a balance between the contributor, the inventor, and the implementer. And this is achieved via from commitment, meaning that those who own patents
Mm-hmm.
essential to the standards commit to make
Mm-hmm.
them available in fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory terms
Mm-hmm.
and conditions. And then the court will look
Mm-hmm.
at, before granting an injunction, what has been the behavior of the parties. So if the patent holder has behaved in good faith and engaged as a willing licensor, they will obtain an injunction. But if they haven't, they won't. And the other way around, if the implementer has not behaved in good faith,
Mm-hmm.
of course there will be an injunction.
Mm-hmm.
And so that
Mm-hmm.
both are equally motivated to behave in good faith.
Right. Excellent. So other than that, I wanted to ask you um, about standards essentially. So when a technology is said to become a part of a standard, what is the process formally looks like?
I mean, let's talk, for example, about cellular standards, because there are a lot of standards. But let's talk about connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
So 2G to 5G. Let's imagine now
Mm-hmm.
we are developing 5G and then in the future 6G. This is done in 3GPP, which is a joint
Mm-hmm.
program of 7 standard development organizations worldwide. And there you have a lot of working groups that work following certain
Mm-hmm.
principles established by the World Trade Organization. And those
Mm-hmm.
are especially set for the standardization, which is open, consensus, transparency, partiality, and all these decisions, which technology goes into the standard, are following those principles and always choosing the best technology, meaning that technology chosen based on the technical merits, independently on what's the size of the company and how many contributions they have done. This is not important. It's the quality that counts. This is why we have
Okay.
cutting-edge technologies in
This looks a bit interesting. So within your team, do you have any cool traditions at work?
Well, we do sports every day at 12. We
Uh-huh.
connect. We connect in teams,
Yeah.
we
Mm-hmm.
do 15 minutes sport.
Mm-hmm.
And each time some
Yeah.
of us is picking a video, and then of course doesn't mean that every day we go, each of us, but
Yeah.
yeah, but very often. And then we have, after some meetings, sometimes we order pizzas, so it makes sense that we do on
Mm-hmm.
the next day sport to get out of all these calories. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. And how does the work-life balance look like for your team?
Well, for me, I feel when I hear these kind of questions
Mm-hmm.
as if work wasn't life. As you work and you finish
Yeah.
work and then life starts. And I don't
Yeah.
see it like this. I feel that
Yeah.
what we do give us flexibility. This is one of the strengths that we have. So if
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, if I'm working and at 11 a.m. I realize I cannot focus, I can leave my
Mm-hmm.
office. I can walk. I can do something private and
Mm-hmm.
then come back and then
Yeah.
lay down. And so I don't have really this
Mm-hmm.
9 to 5 job. I work
Okay.
and I enjoy
Yeah.
it a lot, but of course I also do
Mm-hmm.
private activities, and
Yeah.
so
And I think that this is a more appropriate response to these kind of questions as well. I mean, I typically ask this to understand how different professions are for different people and how are they managing their life with it. But I think this is the most legit response that it's not like one thing finishes and then the other one starts, but it's good to strike that balance that you're happy and you're satisfied, and then you have a peace of mind overall. So diverging the conversation a little bit, I've noticed that you have an excellent academic track record. So I really want to ask you that how did your academic journey shape you into who you are as a person?
I think it goes hand in hand. As I said, with the because I was interested in the topic in the master, I did the PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so interested in getting a practical input, I did all the 60 interviews. Because I did the interviews, I get to know a lot
Mm-hmm.
of companies. And
Mm-hmm.
this mixing
Mm-hmm.
theoretical or research and the practical aspects is what is basically my job. It's
Mm-hmm.
what I do. I merge both worlds. So I think all does what's needed in order to arrive where I am. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it will not, one without the other will not have worked well.
Right. And also, I want to connect this question to a very research focused question. I would say that there's academic research and then there's research done in the industry as well. So in the modern era, how well do you think are these two aligned? Is one more modern or more advanced as compared to the other one, or do they go hand in hand?
I think ideally is when you get both worlds together. Like if you get, for
Mm-hmm.
example, academics doing research and using some data from industry and also checking the proposals with industry, this is where you get the
Mm-hmm.
best results, because in industry you don't usually have the time to do this research in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you also
Yeah.
have your tunnel vision. You're doing things always like this, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow you forget all the areas, or you don't have the time. And in
Mm-hmm.
academia, they have the time, they have amazing knowledge, but sometimes they come out with proposals that they are not useful in practice. So why not to
Mm-hmm.
have a better conversation, to understand each other, and then try to come out with results together. So I think this is,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I don't think it's either or. I think the best outcome is when we
Yeah.
do things together.
What are some of the core values that you live by in your professional life? I mean, to me, core values provide a framework for
Hmm.
us to basically set us up for success and behave in the most ethical way. So, in your journey, what were some of the core values that you really stuck to and that have proven really beneficial?
Hmm. I would say maybe the first one is respect. Respect for others, but also respect for
Mm.
yourself. Sometimes we talk to ourselves really badly. this
Yeah.
voice that tells us this perfectionist
Yeah.
voice, and it's important to be respectful and to have compassion and see mistakes an opportunity to grow. Mistakes from that you have done, that others have done, and and I
Mm-hmm.
encourage always dialogue and conversations that are really important to have good relationships. Integrity, of course.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think you need to be able to see to watch yourself in the mirror, be
Yeah.
professional, and that I mean, and I think this is one of the biggest advice. I would say that do whatever you said that you're going to do, because if people don't
Mm-hmm.
trust you, you're not going to get far in your career path. So be careful what you say,
Right.
but if you promise something, then do it. And if you're not able to do it, then inform in time that this is not going to happen and then try to find solutions. And then I guess my final one would be perseverance, because
Mm-hmm.
not everything goes the way we want. And if you don't persevere, then, um,
Yeah.
well,
I mean, that's what I've commonly heard as well, that you have to be, stubborn to a certain extent when you are really passionate about your
mhm.
idea, that you actually, see it happen after some time.
Yes, yes, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that just because you are perseverant, you're gonna find everything. But I do think that
Mm-hmm.
at least that has been my path. That if I have an idea, I try one thing, it doesn't work out, then I try a different one, how to come out to the same results. And maybe it doesn't come in the moment I wanted it or in the exact form
Yeah.
I wanted it, but definitely into that
Mm-hmm.
direction. If I persist and I try to learn this try and error that I explained before.
Okay. Interesting. So, other than that, how do you keep up with the changing trends in the industry? Because, as far as this IP world is concerned, I mean, from an outsider perspective, I would say that maybe every now and then there would be companies or people filing new patents, registering their ideas. So, how do you keep up with all of that?
Well, my field is more IPR policy part, so I guess that this is something we learn more into reading newspapers, reading blogs, talking to professionals, conferences, talking to other
Mm-hmm.
departments to see to ask professionals because it's impossible to have an overview of everything. So the best
Yeah.
that you can do
Yeah.
is to build good relationships so that
Mm-hmm.
people will
Mm-hmm.
remember you and share information. And I guess
Mm-hmm.
that my first advice is also being able to share information. In my path,
Yeah.
I met colleagues that wanted to have information but were not willing to share. And those
Mm-hmm.
are professionals that at the end they don't really succeed much because you cannot have all the information yourself.
Yeah.
But if you have a culture of sharing, of course not sensitive information, but public
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
then you create an atmosphere where others will share too. And this way you
Mm-hmm.
get up to date on the trends.
Right. Interesting. So, what's your definition of success, considering, it looks different for everyone, and the metrics of gauging is different from individual to individual. So, what is that? What does success look like to you?
For me, success is to achieve your ikigai. to meaning that you found something that you love, that you're good at, that somehow it's good for the world, at least your world, and that you get paid. So this,
Nice.
this is what I think.
That's an interesting one. Yeah. Also, I've noticed on social media that you have an active presence and you're educating about IP as well, and the information is definitely in a very organized way. So, how is that journey going for you, and what's your long-term vision with that project?
So I guess you're talking about the Instagram account, or
Yes,
yeah,
IP
yeah,
with Claudia.
yeah. It's called IP with Claudia Tapia. I just
Yeah.
started it some weeks ago, although the idea came some months ago, talking to two of the seniors, Ellen Deuter and Carolina Torres, and we were discussing about this vision of sharing knowledge on what is IP and the kinds of IP in an easy to digest manner, to interview young professionals, and even what we are doing here, but the other way around, me being the one interviewing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
so
Yeah.
I still haven't announced it. So I guess this is the first time I go public with this, and I will then make a post on LinkedIn, and then we will start and see how it goes. But very excited.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And even by looking at it, it is very informative, I must say. And kudos to you for taking that initiative. So now that we are reaching towards the end of our conversation, I want to ask you a topic that's inherently very valuable to me. I would say, I look up to our company CEO, other CEOs of larger organizations, and I see that they're very confident when they're delivering keynotes. I've seen your keynotes, and you've been very confident in it. So I really want to ask you that: can you provide some insights in a very comprehensive way that what are the traits of good public speakers?
Well, I do workshops on this, and I take a whole day. It's gonna
That's
be
why I said
very hard.
comprehensive.
So I'm just gonna give
Yeah.
very, very quick tips for the starters. And I will say first, the breathing is very important. When we get nervous, we start overventilating, which is not good for our brains, from messages, from our concentrations, nothing. So controlling the breathing, it's great. To start some minutes before doing power pose, this is a power pose like Supergirl
Yeah.
or like Superman. These are
Yeah.
power poses. Just for a few minutes. Of course, you can go to the private place to do your power poses, but this helps a lot. And then the most important advice is practice, 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 practice. I think a lot of people underestimate how much time and effort goes behind a presentation. And only after many years you need less time, but still you need a lot of time. If you want to do a good presentation, you need to practice. So, and final one, I guess, and this is one that for me was really painful, but it's very efficient and effective, is to record yourself and then watch it. Because then you start seeing things that you may improve. And even then, you probably will continue doing some of them. But it's about doing better next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for endorsing our experience as well. So with that, Dr. Claudia, we have reached the end of our conversation. It was really great to have you here, and we're very grateful for this opportunity for collaboration. As far as our audience are concerned, if you like the content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. Definitely let us know about the feedback in the comments as well. And until the next episode rolls out, do check us out on other streaming platforms, and take care of yourselves, and see you soon.